That'll do it.
Mm. Good evening and welcome to the After Hours show with the Autonomous Collective. My name's Joe in Norway. I'll be your cook for this evening, and I'm joined by Ann Lee, a retired college professor and a community member at the Daily Coast. They're a member of the National Council of Independent Scholars and is a member or the contributor to the book, The Political Economy of Art, Making the Nation of Culture. Hey, Ann, you doing okay over there?
Oh yeah,
Sounds
yeah.
absolutely schizophrenic on that
Oh,
side of the ocean.
well, the nation is like we're really in trouble.
Oh,
I mean,
well,
October 14th is going to be Charlie Kirk Day.
uh, what is that?
Well,
Actual holiday?
just a day of remembrance, I guess, or something.
Oh, is his body laying in state?
Um, I don't know if they're going to allow for that. I don't think they did. It's in Arizona. The body's in Arizona. They did
Hmm.
want to put it in state in the capital, but I don't think that happened. But the GOP is in charge, so therefore they at least got the October 14th day. Just wait, it'll become a holiday in Alabama or Mississippi or someplace. Utah. We'll see.
Lord help us. Well, let me talk about what we're going to prepare, and then we can talk about
Yes.
all the madness afterwards. So, it's mushroom season, and oh man,
Yum.
everybody is absolutely sick of all the mushrooms I've been cooking after foraging. Oh Lord. This week, we've got black pig soap, or hedgehog mushrooms, or Hydnum rapandum. They're very funky looking. Oh, let me get out the light here. So they have a dry, almost not, they get a little bit of a funnel shape and a dot in the middle. They have a hollow stem usually, and underneath they have these spines that grow a little bit easier to see on the big one here. They're a bit meaty. They're quite tasty. Most people, you cook them whole. I might sliver them. So what I thought I'd do, I've got celery here. We'll be making a stir fry with hedgehog mushrooms and celery with Chinese fermented black soybeans or black fermented soybeans or
Nice.
huji. Forget the name of the pronunciation.
Dochi?
Anyways, the this
Do-
dochi. Yeah. So this is essentially this is the Marmite before Marmite. This is the Chinese version of Marmite. That's over 2,500 years old. It's around Confucius time. That's when the earliest recorded points were for the beans. Um, they basically they soak the beans and then they cook them. They inject them with a mold, something similar to koji, which is used for making miso and soy sauce. Um, Aspergillus. The mold is from the Aspergillus species. And then once the mold develops, they wash it, and then they salt it in a kind of brining solution with different spices. Could be like ginger, orange, garlic, what have you. And then they're left to ferment in the brine for 4 to 6 months, maybe longer. And then they're taken out, and then you store them in a jar. And apparently, there's some 2,000-year-old beans they've been found, and they're still good. So
Yeah.
they last a long
Nice.
time. So you just store them in your pantry in a airtight jar, and they'll keep mighty long. So one of the things I thought this would be a nice dish to do. We get that aspect of Chinese cooking of mouthfeel. I can't remember the name to describe it, but we've got the delicate delicate texture of the mushroom in combination with the crunch, crisp firmness of the celery. And we'll kind of cut those in a similar fashion. And what I'm going to be doing with the celery is peeling it. So the outer parts of the celery, we can't digest it. So you might think you're getting extra fiber, but you're not able to digest it. But
It just goes, it goes straight through.
it's, it's just roughage. So I'll take where's my peeler here? We got a peeler, and we're just gonna remove um, the stringy fibers. And what that does is two things. It will get rid of the roughage and make it cook a little quicker. And in addition, it'll make it more tender. So it's a very it's almost like a different vegetable when you after you peel it. So I'm gonna make hedgehog mushrooms with slivered celery and a garlic black bean sauce. And I've got some leftover rice. We'll just reheat that for the side, steam that in the pot. Since we had was on the edge of a mountainside, super steep, and there was golden chanterelles all over the place. So they were just littered all along the mountainside, just this dark brown pine forest floor
Nice.
spotted with these golden gems. So I'm gonna fry these up as well, so that I'll just freeze them and have them as an ingredient to throw into dishes afterwards. Another alternative you could do with besides the celery, I had some of our last snow peas. These would be good, but I'll do them tomorrow when everybody's awake. So the celery can take a reheating. I don't think these would, but those would also be a nice alternative. So that's my plans.
Nice.
Oh, and we've got some filthy mushrooms. These ones aren't so bad. I'm going to dip them in water just to give them a quick rinse. But sometimes with the hedgehog mushrooms, if they get if they're in too sandy a soil, they'll just get stuck in the
Yeah.
sand. The debris will get stuck in the spines. So you can scrape them off, but sometimes they're just not worth the effort. So I'm going to give them a quick rinse, see if that cleans them up a bit. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
All yours.
Busy week
Mhm.
as it occurred last week. Just as we were yakking last week, there uh, Charlie Kirk was killed, and it was interesting to see the kind of information and disinformation. There's some conspiracy theories out there, some interesting, some stupid. like some idiot has decided rather than Kirk getting hit in the neck, somehow the bullet went through his bullet. That he was wearing a bulletproof vest is questionable, but whether he did or didn't, the bullet did go through, and that it somehow ricocheted up. It's just a really stupid story because it doesn't really do anything, except the point was to explain how an earplug got popped out of his head. Because I don't. This is like the Mythbusters. Doesn't really happen. It's just for quite stupid. But Tyler Robinson has been framed, media framed as being, whatever, trans adjacent somehow. The messaging has been to try and, of course, demonize certain characters, certain people, certain portions of the population that are even less than 1% of the total population.
I think they've been wanting to demonize. It's the most feared element among us in the society. The
Oh,
they
yes,
don't
absolutely.
even name it. The bisexual. It's
Oh,
unnameable.
indeed,
You can't
indeed.
name that.
It's probably the biggest,
So
actually, a much bigger proportion because no one cops to it, which is, an issue within the bi community. Um,
Mhm.
it's the problem relative to the LG community. So, yeah, it's has lots of problematic elements. I mean, Utah is problematic because they don't expunge as much as they don't like sort of what are they called? Alternative lifestyles, I think is what they call it.
Well, I haven't heard that used in a long time.
It's quite interesting if you know anyone in a conservative kind of religious organization, they do always talk about it as this other thing and whatever it is, and so it got treated that way. I think in the prosecution of it, there were issues about how they had derived the way they did their the prosecution's case, the charges, and needless to say, there are other conspiracy theory things that are going on. I mean, there's some gaps, and I'm waiting for the final for more. I mean, I don't know who's going to do the defense for Tyler Robinson, but whoever it is, I think is definitely not going to. I don't think he's going to get the death penalty. Let's put it that way. I think he for whatever reason, religious reason or otherwise, I'm going to put my bet on a life sentence of one kind or another. But anyway, that's kind of where I am with that. Aside from all the other demonizations and all the sort of subculture, blah 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 that comes with this, and all the lasciviousness, sort of uh, dropped away once they got the final charges in. No sexual referencing occurs in the charging document. So, there's one reference to a romantic relationship with the roommate, and that's it. They don't do any of the other kind of things that all the spin is occurring in all the usual right-wing places. So it's interesting to see. Partially because that's kind of how it works. You have to prosecute what you can prosecute. There's a lot of gaps. But anyway, there's plenty of conspiracy theories running around, and we can discuss that at some other day or whatever. So that was the more bizarre things are the much larger mythological elements. There's going to be let's see, a service or some sort of memorial service on, I think, Sunday or Saturday in uh, a giant stadium in, is it Phoenix or Tucson or Phoenix, I guess. The football stadium, this is the Cardinals football stadium. And so the stadium holds 63,000, so that's going to happen. Trump will be there. And, it's going to be a spectacle of one kind or another. Some people have referred to it as the Nuremberg rallies. It's not quite that. although I'm sure there's going to be elements. If you've been paying a little attention to social media, there's at least one ballad, uh, for Charlie Kirk. There's one rap song, a white guy, right wing white guy rap, which is kind of interesting, specifically about Charlie Kirk. So it's quite fascinating. There's stuff going on. Um, the other elements are, we're all back to the traditional anti-communist stuff, and the the idea that you've got to suppress speech, and the mainstream media has pointed out consistently, which is really good, that if you start trying to suppress speech, you sort of lose the point of America. um, I mean, it is what makes us different from other places, is that we sort of tolerate this stuff. I mean, it comes with all kinds of contingencies, and of course, we do prosecute, terrible things. But moving into the area of so-called hate speech or fighting words or whatever, it's always been an issue. But the right wing has decided to take it upon itself to see if it can score a kind of permanence, a kind of some sort of juridical absolute on this. They can't. I mean, there's far too much. In fact, I think one of the things that was used as the background against the ability of the central government to try and throw people off of communication media was actually originally, well, it was a couple of years ago, but it was an NRA suit actually, about about the government constraining speech. But anyway, so that's where it comes up against its own libertarian desires. So that was sort of interesting to see, and that's where it is right now. Needless to say, the background got sort of expanded beyond all measure when. And the point, when you look at this analysis, just like the 60 Minutes thing, and the George Stephanopoulos being part of the ABC $16 million judgment that Trump seemed to try and get out there today, they threw out his $15 billion lawsuit against the New York Times. They're just saying it had no merit at all. I sort of wonder what is the going rate for lawyers who file these frivolous suits. And there is some undercurrent about sanctioning some of the usual Trumpian craziness. But regardless, there is this sort of thing against mass media, but the reality underlying this, and I think you always have to look at what from an economic determinist point of view, the objection of certain media groups, who are trying to execute a $6 billion merger. Obviously, they're going to pull, or they did pull, the Jimmy Kimmel show, which is on ABC, the ABC network. And because ABC is still owned, and I know it's much more complicated than that, but it is owned by the mouse, that is Disney. So there's a lot of crosstalk for Disney. So much so that the current Disney chairman is being critiqued by the past Disney chairman about this sort of stuff anyway. And Disney has always been at loggerheads in Florida with the state government. So we have those kinds of things. We have corporate monkey business going on, going back to the CBS thing, because with 60 Minutes, because that was about the Paramount merger. So ultimately, you've got to look sort of below the hood, look under the hood at some of this craziness. The current one, of course, as I said, is derived from a desire to do more mergers and more acquisitions, which is a kind of monopoly position that is being taken on by even the Trump government. When they bought 10% of Intel, which we'll see whether that's a good or a bad thing. Needless to say, that this is the undercurrent of this in social media is quite fascinating. The reality, of course, is problematic because a lot of people just don't pay attention. So they're going to accept certain elements of the message, but not all of them. So, and for some people, the thing that sticks in their little brain is, whether it was somehow a trans person is connected to this, or somehow, um, sort of alternative sexuality somehow is part of this. When in fact, somebody just, it's a griper who pulled the trigger on a demagogue, and they're trying to gaslight us, whitewash, truly a whitewash, Charlie Kirk. Because once you start looking at what he says, you see that he's a much more extreme version of Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh at least tended to couch things in sometimes terrible analogies and terrible metaphors. Charlie Kirk wasn't quite as he should have stayed in college longer, because it is never very good at that. So he would just sort of pick up on these certain kind of tropes and sort of not so much mangle them, but use their most he always went to the extreme because he didn't really have these, wasn't well read, I'm sorry to say, and yet they're trying to make him, they're trying to give him, they're trying to idealize him, make him, you know uh, into an icon of one kind or another, just as there was very strange. I don't even. It's just very strange, and it's in video. It's online, and you can see his widow Erica, talking to his lifeless body in the coffin, and that has a certain weirdness to it as well. Um, Promising to take on his work and blah, 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 blah. And there's some sort of they out there that did this. What in fact, lone gunman, lone damn gunman. So there's all that. And the background against which this is happening is, of course, Cash and Carrie Patel was dragged in front of both the Senate and the House, and he was very combative. I mean, really kind of a punk, as to quote Lawrence O'Donnell. Needless to say, there's contradictions. He's just not smart enough to recognize that people on the Justice Department or DHS side always make mistakes. The contradictions just sort of reemerge. Something that he may have promised or said gets contradicted when they get him up in front of a congressional committee of one kind or another. So that's happened. And so there's sort of an agitation going on in the background to try and kick out Cash Patel I assume he was there for kind of sacrificial reasons anyway, just like Dan Bongino is his deputy.
Bongino.
Yeah, Bongino, whatever. And then there are the continuing critiques of Todd Blanche, the deputy attorney general, who, there's all that background. And of course, Trump dumping out of the country to do his little ceremonial thing. He really loves doing that stuff. He likes the little parade stuff. It was very bizarre to watch it on C-SPAN, where they did really a full-scale parade thing at Windsor Castle. There's a couple of things that not meant. It was, I think, the first instance where what is it? It's the retreat something or other that is only done on special occasions. Was done for Trump, and I don't think he really, really paid attention to it. I think there is an actual video that is. It could be that it's just a fake, but it's kind of amusing to watch the parade with the horses go by, and just as it passes Trump, the horse takes a poop. So there's that image, among many other images. Trump claimed that he was the first person to do this at Windsor, which is not true. Bill Clinton has visited Windsor Castle twice. So, Trump's always saying all these things that he thinks is, self-aggrandizing, when in fact he's just lying. He did a lot of that. He said stupid things at the dinner that was at Windsor Castle and blah, blah, blah. It's only there 48 hours, but I think he just wanted to get that thing in there. And simultaneous to that, of course, he sends out a post on Truth Social, trying, as he did in 2019. He tried to do, now he went the one step further. Rather than we're thinking about declaring Antifa a terrorist group, to actually doing it. So Antifa is a terrorist group, except
Oh, it's
it has
official
no.
now?
Well, it's an executive order, I think, or a memorandum, and I think
Okay.
some GOP congressional idiot will probably try and make it law of some kind, which will be stupid, because Antifa doesn't have a headquarters. It doesn't. There's no membership list. There's no membership cards. Anybody can be a member, which
So
is
then I don't need to mail in my dues this month, you think?
that's right. It's so stupid. Well, it is that sort of doubling up on Red Scare America, which is kind of the thing that Trump has wanted. He's going to fire a prosecutor in Virginia because that prosecutor wasn't able to convict or indict the Attorney General of New York for having two residences. And of course, fortunately, the journalism is actually working, in the sense that they managed to discover that three people in the cabinet have the same damn residency problem. Lawrence O'Donnell was talking about this, that what's his name, Butch Besant, the Treasury Secretary, he's the highest ranking gay male in the administration, has two residences, one in Bedford Hills, New York or something, and the other one is in Provincetown. And Lawrence O'Donnell, being a Massachusetts person, he sort of pointed out, well, nobody has a residence in Provincetown. Is always a secondary residence. It's never a primary residence, or rarely, because it's a resort town. And, it's just logical that way. And, but, there are some other issues. Needless to say, pointing out that several people in the cabinet have that problem is useful, because sometime, either next week, I guess, Alex Acosta, who had to resign from the cabinet, the first Trump cabinet, because of all the hanky-panky going around relative to the deals made with Epstein, the prosecution of Epstein, and I think Maxwell in Florida is coming home to roost. In other words, things that may have been left behind because of the prosecution, the kind of sweetheart deals that Epstein, was able to have a similar kind of deal where he could, go home at night? I can't remember. There was a thing where it was just not really punitive relative to child, human trafficking. And so that's going to come up in some way, and the GOP is going to look stupid trying to defend it. But that'll happen, I think, this coming week. So that happened. In other matters, I think it's one should be reminded that there's a whole other kind of subtext going on, and you need to sort of wade through it to see that there's gaslight and spin and framing all going on. And it's probably going to be more intense up until they get Charlie Kirk in the ground. Now, against that, there is, of course, the war, and it's gone on several different ways, and it's gotten really screwed up relative to Ukraine, and whether the U.S. is truly going to fund it, or whether it's simply going to, like money laundering, get the armament going through various European countries to Ukraine. So that's a whole nother thing. The numbers aren't very clear yet. But let's see. Repression is still coming. Chicago didn't work, but they're beginning to talk about Memphis. So And the hope of the whole business is, and of course, with the context of Tennessee, they have other things that are, they have at least one trans incident that they can seize upon. It's a trans gun killer. I can't remember if it's Nashville or Memphis. I think it's Nashville. But I think that'll weigh in against the fact that, of course, Memphis has a large Black population. Memphis is where Martin Luther King was killed. There's all kinds of other things that are going to go on at the same time. And their hope, I would say that the GOP hope, is that there'll be resistance. Maybe some people will get killed. I think that was their hope with Los Angeles, which didn't quite work out. But they're going to try it again. And but being in Memphis is of course, sort of the second place plan B, because they originally wanted to do it in Chicago, where they'd have probably a better chance of people getting gunned down. But I think they'll still be there at some moment, just because they want to show that crime is up when in fact it's down. That there are more terrorists out there. Anyway, how's the food going?
Yeah, so I'm doing the golden chanterelle first. We want to throw them in a dry pan, medium high heat, put a lid on so that it sweats them and they release their moisture. So once they've released enough moisture, then I'll take the lid off, and then we'll add some oil, and we've got the black beans, fermented black beans in there to season them. It should be quite quick.
Nice.
See how
Yum.
there we go.
Yeah. High heat. High heat.
Now we can crank it up.
Yeah. Looks nice.
180,000 BTU. It's like a miniature jet engine.
Yes. Nice. Oh, yummy, yummy, yummy. Well, the actual data has come up again, and the majority.
Maybe some wine. We could throw some wine in there.
There we go.
You were saying?
Oh, well, the data has sort of come through, and the majority of domestic terror incidents and fatalities in the United States since 1994 are right-wing events. I mean, the people who cause trouble are right-wing folks. And, it has no other asymmetries. It is mainly white folks and right-wing white folks. But, that's what happens. The issue, of course, is the question of hate speech, because, those who are on the left would charge that Charlie Kirk endorsed hate speech or produced hate speech. And of course, the problem of hate speech is that it's difficult to define. It's a federal kind of thing, and it's hard to do at the state level, and it's got other kinds of issues. So as I said, with the Utah prosecution, they weren't going to do hate speech. They were going to leave it to the feds to try and do this. But I don't think it's going to happen with the Trump Justice Department. I mean, they can yak all they want about hate speech, but once they start actually getting into it in discovery, you're going to see that Charlie Kirk really used a lot of, hateful tropes, racist, anti-Semitic,
Misogynistic,
misogynist,
whole rainbow.
ableist, anti-ableist. They pretty much covered the court on these things. Full spectrum hatred. So needless to say, it was there. Let's see. I think I've yammered enough about. So government is the same. There's essentially a clown show in Congress. It's good to see that various members of Congress are doing good things, but certain parties are not doing enough good things in terms of trying to oppose the stupidity of the GOP. But fortunately, the GOP is sort of shooting itself in the foot in a variety of interesting ways. And the contrast that we have, of course, in this whole background against which this occurred is if you demonize Antifa, we know that Antifa is kind of a concept. It's not really a thing. It's something that sort of gets applied, and some people like sort of cosplaying it, but it's pretty obvious that the same people who are anti-fascist in 1945 are the same anti-fascists in, the 21st century, because fascists are the same. The nice thing from a stylistic point of view is that the color coordinating of the gowns at the state dinner at Windsor Castle were Ukrainian, that is yellow and blue. That was very, very nice. Trump managed to get a better girdle, so he's a little slimmer in the official portrait than the last time he was in England with the Queen, or else he got a new, tuxedo. So there's that. It's interesting more from a social media point of view, because all the sort of the clones, the hangers-on, the ancillary folks in the Trump crowd, would do their own little selfie things, and because we're in Windsor Council, we're gonna blah blah blah. So it's quite scary to see Stephen Miller in a tux, for example. It's a little scary. So there's that.
Oh, it's starting to rain. Not the best situation here with
Uh-oh.
rain and oil. At least I'm not deep fried.
Crackle, crackle. Well, that's the advantage of having a really hot, a lot of heat there. It's not gonna matter that much, I suppose. What's come up again, as I said before, is the idea that you can prosecute speech, which is sort of the point of being, a democracy, our particular exceptional American democracy. And so attempting to make it a crime to tell jokes about the leader, dear leader, i.e. Trump, is kind of a futile thing. But Trump has continued to crank out his unhappiness at people hitting at Trump, to refer to himself in the third person. Too bad. That's what you get. Anyway, so that happened. Let's see, said stupid things in the Starmer press conference. He dodged the only question on Epstein. He dodged because it was about Peter Mandelson being brought back to the UK for having an association with Epstein. And of course, Trump lied about, the mainstream media showed, Mandelson in the Oval Office, and Trump says, well, I don't know him. And, it's so typical Trump that doesn't sort of realize, so, people are recording shit. I mean, whatever. We know now, just to continue on the sort of lascivious part of it, there are 19 sort of statuses or roles of Epstein clients. And people are now spending a little time trying to figure out, well, which magician was the beneficiary of Epstein's trafficking? And so is it going to be David Copperfield, or is it whatever the other one is? I don't know magicians. So that came up. That's sort of interesting, because it only mentions Thomas Massey tried to list 19 different folks who were clients or names on a list that no one wants to mention, but in fact, you at least have their kind of titles. So you have, 6 billionaires, a prominent politician, et cetera, and a partridge in a pear tree. So, you got all that stuff. That's where Congress is right now. And it's pretty clear that with one more vote after a special election is going to occur, there's going to be a vote to just sort of disgorge or to petition to move ahead the whole business of revealing the Epstein files. So we're going to know in 2 weeks who all these people are and how many times Trump is mentioned. I think that's going to be the news item in a week or two. So that's one thing that we can hope, because otherwise we're just doing these weird things about, well, if your mother says you're gay and that you lean left, is that always credible? I mean, because that's kind of the charging documents and or the initial descriptions of the Utah cops that, well, it must have been because he was gay and leaning left. Well, not really. When you look at the entire body of things that he, you know, and of course they really dredge up this engraving the ammunition, and the fact is they distorted that as well, because they didn't understand kind of griper talk or gamer lingo, and that was sort of at work in there, and some of which is very interesting. I mean, there's at least one furry sort of thing that's in the, and we'll wait to see whether how much that's going to come forward, because there's actually the furry discourse is actually much more serious in this context from Tyler Robinson's sort of activity in life. So anyway, there's that. Where are we? We're at almost at 1:45, and to talk about our schedule. Yeah. If John is here, can you talk about Night Gallery and Star Trek The Next Generation on Sunday? John?
Yes. Tonight we have an episode of the Night Gallery called The Devil Is Not Mocked. And it stars Helmut Dantine and Francis Lederer, who were big matinee idols, I think it's safe to say, in their day. And also, I was thinking, depending on how Travis feels about this and others, and Susanna suggested that I show the episode of Twilight Zone with Robert Redford.
Yes. I didn't even mention that. Rest in peace, Robert Redford. Rest in power.
Yes. Very decent and talented man.
Indeed.
Was that in the early one or the second? Or second?
What's a Twilight Zone? Oh, it was the original Twilight Zone. Yeah. He was in his 20s at that point. Yeah. It's a very good episode as well. So, so that's what I'm thinking of doing tonight. And then for Star Trek on Sunday at 5, it is an episode called Peak Performance. And it is not an advertisement for a male supplement. It is it features a war game and a rather unpleasant guy who comes aboard to observe this war game. And
this is if this is the one I think it is, it's also one of my favorites.
It's the one where this visitor challenges Mr. Data to a game of
Stratagema.
That's it.
Yes, it's quite good.
Yeah.
It has several levels against which it operates. It's quite good.
Yes. Well, there you go.
Yeah, it's a fun episode. It's really worth watching. It doesn't bore. There's nothing boring about this episode. It has lots of little things in it that make it very sci-fi.
Yes.
Excellent. Later this evening after Night Gallery, Travis, if he's here, talk a little bit about Poker Face. We're in the second season. I think whatever it's the second episode in the second season. I think it should be good. each episode has been good. It has interesting sort of a way in which it operates in a formulaic way, and reminded me that probably in maybe a couple of weeks I'm going to show only one season. I don't want to do all 13 seasons of the closer and major crimes. I think I'm going to do just one season to give you a flavor for what it is in case people really get into it. It won't be the first one and it won't be the last episodes. So it's kind of a middling one. So that combines a variety of elements. So anyway, that's probably what I'm going to do. It's one that has 20 episodes in a single season, yes. And so that's probably going to happen in a couple weeks. So there's that.
On Saturday morning, tomorrow morning around 10, if there's any early birds, I'll be hitting the forest again, hunting these fellas and these fellas. Golden
mushrooms.
chanterelles.
Mushrooms.
It's been pissing down the past several days, so hopefully we'll get some new ones coming out. Steve is going to be spitting black circles. The schedule has what he's spinning. Can't remember. Something green.
Okie doke.
Playing music, really nice music for an hour.
Yes, it
At
was
1
last Saturday.
o'clock.
Quite interesting. Yeah, absolutely. Fun music. Looking forward to that. Saturday and Sunday, 2 p.m. Weekly marks. We're, I think, still considering the economic manuscripts of 1864 to 5 by Marx, the Ben Folks and Fred Mosley translation. And let's see what else. Oh, we'll think of something else as we usually do. So that's kind of the weekend. I'm not. Is anything for scheduled for Saturday night? I don't think there is.
Oh, yeah, there's a film. Loughton, Charles Loughton. Is Susanna here?
Oh, Charles Lawton.
No.
Yes. What?
You got to look at the schedule.
Oh,
I don't have it in front of me, so.
Hobson's Choice.
I don't either.
Hobson's Choice. There we go.
All right. Exciting.
Fine.
That'll be exciting. It will be good.
Fine film.
Yes, it's a fine film. Please come by. We say stupid stuff during it. We eat interesting food, just like what you see before you. And I'm hungry again. Damn it! I just ate before I started this deal. Now I'm hungry again. I think we're getting close.
So just let me explain again. We've got
Carry on.
hedgehog mushrooms sauteed with celery slivers in black bean sauce, and I added some garlic, chives, and pepper. And then I just cooked down the golden chanterelles with the black beans as well. We'll throw these in the freezer and then in small portions so we can just add them to soups and stews, what have you. All good.
Okie dokie. So anyway, come join us. The autonomouscollective.net. We'll try and do better next week.
Sunday.
Sunday.
I'm
Oh,
going-
right.
Yes.
Oh,
Jesus.
Lane, I'm sorry. Sunday. Be there.
Hendrix.
What you gonna do?
It's Hendrix this week.
Hendrix, yes.
Because the 18th of September was 55th anniversary of his death.
Yes.
Yes.
Lots of anniversaries.
So I'm sticking a documentary on. It's an old one, but it's a goodie. And I'll find a gig. I think if I can find a playable version, I'll stick the Isle of Wight festival gig, which is phenomenal.
Nice.
From August 1970, that one. Not long before he died.
Yes. Okay, we'll try and do better next week. On that
See
note, bye.
you.